moving into our new segment, we got the Detroit Lions reunion with Marvin Jones. This talks about we did a pre-draft visit with Will Anderson, so now this talks about potentially trading up in the draft. So before we get into this, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button, leave that 5-star review. And yeah, I want to start with the Marvin Jones returning to the Detroit Lions. He was a big piece, a fan favorite for the Detroit Lions fan base when he was here with Matt Patricia and Jim Caldwell. Arguably our number one. Granted, he had some runs with Golden Tate and then Kenny Galladay. So he was always just that upper two, bottom one. It was always 1A, 1B when he was on this team with somebody. But that being said, he's older now. He's 33 years old. And we just are looking. Can he fill DJ Chark's feet at this age? And what are your first opinions on this signing, Jaron?
Well, I know it's a lot of familiarity, so you bring a guy back that's been here before, understands the city of Detroit very well. Obviously, it's a completely different culture than it was before. DJ Chark was good, but I don't think irreplaceable good. I think he'll have an easy time fitting in and meshing to the culture. I think he'll have a pretty solid season. I think he's a pretty good addition from the off season. Like I had said multiple times, we've been doing these Lions episodes. Is any guy you get is a commodity to your team at this point, and I think it's just a continuation of the Lions having a fantastic off season. Love to see it. I think he'll mesh well, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, it's a great depth piece. The reality is we're not gonna get the Marvin Jones that was putting up 1,000 yards, uh, and just a complete highlight reels as he multiple times. His favorite team to face was the Minnesota Vikings. When I was going back making that highlight reel for you guys, it was all Minnesota Viking highlights. And granted, there was a lot of others, but it was a lot of Minnesota Vikings. Some of that came from his 4-touchdown game versus the Vikings. I was actually at that game. It was insane. But yeah, you're most likely not getting that Marvin Jones. But he can definitely fill DJ Chark's role, and where I almost give him a little bit of an edge. They have different strengths, but where I almost give him a little bit more of an edge is he doesn't have the injury history DJ Chark has. We saw Chark miss a few games even this year. That's the whole reason we got him on the 1-year contract, is to take a chance on him, knowing that he gets injured quite a bit. And thankfully last year he wasn't suffering with injuries like he has in the past, but he did still miss a few games with injuries. It's just part of him. But Marvin Jones is a guy who, he doesn't get injuries as much, and when he does, he fights through them and he's available. And that's going to be big to make a playoff run. Is you're going to need your guys to be available. And as far as how he can fill in DJ Chark's role, I think he's just another good safety blanket for Goff. He's from Cal. Granted, they didn't play at Cal at the same time, but it's just cool to see these similarities. We've seen it with the corners, Cam Sutton and Emmanuel Mosley, coming both from Tennessee. It's cool to just see all these college reunions, even if they didn't play at the same time. But no, this is definitely a good depth signing. I like it. I love Marvin Jones, one of my favorite Lions of all time. So it's good to see him back on this team.
Yeah,
But
it's always good.
yeah, that being said, I wanted to move on to the next piece. And I would argue it's the bigger story just because it has more potential of elevating this team. We love Marvin Jones, but this could be absolutely massive for the Detroit Lions. We got an update that Will Anderson is visiting with the Detroit Lions on a pre-draft visit. And, we're sitting at pick 6. It's not looking like Will Anderson would fall that far. So
Mhm.
why are we visiting with them? Well, possibly the Detroit Lions are thinking about trading up in this NFL draft. Maybe they think they would rather, instead of, getting a Tyree Wilson, they just want to hit the home run, get a stud playmaker, and say goodbye to the extra first round draft pick. Use the 2 first and trade up and get that done. What do you think is the possibility of this happening, Jaron? Do you think it'd be a good move to, at this point, put your chips in and say we want the best pass rusher, and we don't care if we have to give up some of this draft capital for it?
Uh, Quite frankly, I think it could be a solid move for them. I think this offseason's been pretty good. They've gotten a lot of guys that I think to fill a lot of holes, and to add another young guy who you expect to be uh, a massive part of a team in the future could pay dividends. You have Hutch already, Rodriguez, and if you add Anderson, who's fantastic, obviously, I believe he came back when he was already a top draft guy. Had a
I
great
think he was forced to.
Was he forced?
I think he still had another year he had to do.
Well, either way, a lot of guys eyeballing him regardless. I think if they did it, I wouldn't be mad about it because, you have to think about what would you be giving up potentially. Because like you said, don't expect him to fall. What would you be giving up, I guess? It'd be probably some people
If
have go
if
ahead.
I took a guess of what we'd have to give up, granted I don't have previous trades in front of me,
Mhm,
but if I took a guess, it would be something like 6, 18, and a third rounder, just because they are only falling back 3 spots.
mhm,
And at that point, I think the Colts pick behind them. Behind the Cardinals, they're probably going quarterback. And the whole reason the Cardinals are doing this is they don't want to go quarterback. So the Colts probably go quarterback, and then they only have the Seahawks. So they're only missing out on 2 picks, which
right.
is Will Anderson, who they basically say they're not gonna get, and whoever the Seahawks decide to pick. So
Mhm,
they're not missing out on many players by making this trade with the Lions. So think getting the 6th, the 18th,
mhm,
and a third rounder would do it. But it also just depends on what other teams are offering. Because at the same time, the Cardinals go back that far. I mean, maybe they are wanting to trade farther back and get even more of a package because they'd rather just load up. And there's absolutely nobody in the top 10 that they're really looking at like that.
mhm.
But it'll be interesting.
I think it depends on the route they want to go. Obviously, some people have said let's get a franchise quarterback potentially, have him be under the wings of Goff, and then do something in the future. But it really depends on the route they want to go. If they want to build up, load up on defensive young talent, and be a force like that, because they already have a pretty solid offense. If they can continue to just have that level of offense with the guys that they have now, and then you build a very strong defense full of young core guys, you can do that. Or if you're thinking long term, where we want to develop a quarterback that'll be our Mahomes or our Joe Burrow type of player, you can go that route too. So I think it all depends on kind of what their plan is heading into the draft, whether or not they would pursue something like that.
Yeah, and I you made me think of what I would do, talking about what they would do. And personally, I've been on this bandwagon since I watched uh the bowl games and like the championship games of college football.
Oh, Big Ten
And
champ.
if I or all the championship games, but if I were the Lions, I want to trade back. I don't know. I'd have to look at some of the teams before I say who exactly. I want to trade back. I want to get a next year's first. That next year's first, I am doing it with the team that I'm expecting to suck next year. I want a lottery. I want a lottery ticket. That's what I want. I want a lottery ticket at a
JJ
chance
McCarthy.
that it lands number one, or a chance that Caleb Williams next year. That's what
Oh
I
yeah,
essentially want. That's the
that wouldn't be
guy
bad.
I would want to take over for Goff if I could. And let's say maybe they don't suck at number one. We don't get Caleb Williams. Well, you're still looking at top 10 pick. I like the additions we've made this year. I am actually a fan. I'm not saying trade back because I like don't want to. Like, I actually do kind of want to trade back. I like guys like Elijah Cansey. He's a guy who should go 10 through 15. Um, some of these corners, they should be going 10 through 15 that I like. So that's another reason. Some of these guys I like, I just don't think they're 6 overall pick worthy, but I take them in that 10 through 15 range. So that's another argument I have towards trading back is I don't want to reach if I don't have to. and if I can also get that lottery ticket for next year, I'm gonna take it. Because if I get a chance at Caleb Williams, or even build up draft capital in next year's draft to have a chance at trading up to that, I'm taking it. Because that
Yeah.
kid is insane.
Yeah. I completely forgot about Caleb Williams. He's
Yeah.
returning for another year, and
And that's what scares me about the Packers looking so dog shit. If
the
he goes
Packers are
to the
gonna get Caleb Williams.
Packers next year, I am going to be flipping chairs.
That'd be great, wouldn't it? That'd just be an encapsulation of all the pain.
No, that I would be jealous because there would be no such thing as pain as a Packers fan. They've literally went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to then possibly Caleb Williams. I would
Oh my.
I would be pretty hot.
Yeah. Yeah, understandable, dude. But you know what? We'd get JJ McCarthy, so that's all that matters.
And we do not need JJ.
Me and
On
JJ,
that,
man.
we're ending this podcast because we're getting a little too crazy here. So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys leave that 5-star review on the podcast, wherever you're listening. Leave that 5-star review. If you're on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, and put those post noties on. Till next time, we'll see you.